For this night's dinner, I did teriyaki salmon with sriracha cream sauce. And for the cream sauce, I used sriracha, mayonnaise, and some sweetened condensed milk. To a bowl, I added 1/2 cup of mayonnaise, 2 tablespoons of sriracha, you can add more depending on your heat preference, and 1/2 tablespoons of sweetened condensed milk. And then I just went ahead and gave that a stir, and then I'm going to set that aside. And for the teriyaki sauce, you're going to need cornstarch, soy sauce, brown sugar, ground ginger, garlic powder, honey, and some salmon. And for your cornstarch, you're going to mix 1 tablespoon of cornstarch with 1/4 cup of cold water. Go ahead and mix that up, and we're going to use that for later. And to a skillet over medium heat, you're going to go ahead and add 1/4 cup of soy sauce and 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, 2 tablespoons of honey, and 1 cup of water. And I just went ahead and stirred to combine. And once it reaches a low simmer, I'm going to stir in my cornstarch. I'm going to go ahead and mix that up until thickened. I'm going to let this cook for about 2 minutes. And I have my salmon here. I'm just going to open a Ziploc bag. I'm going to pour in some marinade, and I'm going to let my salmon marinate for up to 30 minutes or overnight. You want to make sure that you turn the bag occasionally so they're fully coated. And to my casserole dish, I'm just going to spray it with some non-stick cooking spray. And I'm just going to add my salmon into the dish along with the marinade. And I'm going to cook that for 20 minutes at 350 degrees or until it's flaky. And as you can see, it flakes off really nice with the fork, so it is done. I'm going to go ahead and dish this up. And for my side tonight, I went ahead and made some white rice. And then I'm just going to add our sriracha cream sauce to the top. And I'm just going to add some fresh green onions. And I'm going to top this off with some sesame seeds. And dinner is done. And for this night's dinner, I am making kofta. And I just went ahead and grated up my onion. And now I'm just going to finally chop up my parsley. Into a mixing bowl, I'm going to add my ground beef. Next, I'm adding in my grated onion, 1/4 cup of parsley, 4 cloves of minced garlic, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of cumin, 2 teaspoons of allspice. I used Auntie Nono's everything seasoning, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of coriander, 1/8 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. And then I just went ahead and mixed it all together. I tried with a spoon, it's best with your hands. And for the kebabs, I'm going to be using these skewers. I found that if you soak them in water for 30 minutes, they're less likely to burn and stick on the grill. I just went ahead and divided my meat up into mini meatballs according to how many skewers I'm going to make. On this night, I'm going to make 8. And I'm just molding the meat mixture around the skewers. I'm pressing to make sure that it's firm and well stuck on the skewer. And on my grill top pan, I'm going to go ahead and spray it with non-stick cooking spray. And then I'm just placing my kebabs. I'm going to let them cook for 4 to 5 minutes per side until done. And for one of my sides tonight, I'm going to be doing cilantro lime rice. Into a skillet over medium-high heat, I'm going to go ahead and add my 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I'm going to add in my 1 1/2 cups of long grain rice, and I'm going to go ahead and cook those until they start to turn brown. And you just want to make sure you stir these occasionally, you don't want them to burn. Next, I'm adding in my 1 clove of garlic and 1 teaspoon of salt. And once my rice started to brown, I'm going to add in my 2 1/4 cup of water. I'm going to go ahead and lower the heat to low. Once it comes to a boil, I'm going to cover it and let it cook for 15 minutes. It's been about 15 minutes. I'm going to see if the rice is done. I'm going to go ahead and fluff it with a fork. Once your rice is done, you can add in 3 tablespoons of lime juice and 1 cup of chopped cilantro, and then you're just going to go ahead and toss that with a fork and it's ready to serve. And for my final side, I'm making garlic mushroom cauliflower skillet. I just went ahead and cooked my cauliflower according to the directions on the back of the bag. Next, I washed and dried these mushrooms, and then I'm going to pull out the stems. Then I went ahead and chopped up my parsley. I just want 2 tablespoons worth. Into a skillet over medium-high heat, I'm going to add in my 4 tablespoons of butter, also 1 tablespoon of olive oil. And once the butter is fully melted, I'm going to add in my 1/2 cup of chopped onion. I'm going to go ahead and saute the onion for about 3 minutes until it's translucent. Next, I'm going to add in my mushrooms, and I'm going to continue to cook for another 5 minutes. Make sure you're stirring continuously so that way you don't burn your onions. Next, I'm going to add in my cauliflower, and I'm going to continue to cook until the cauliflower turns brown. And then I added in 1/2 cup of chicken stock, and then I'm just going to add in 4 garlic cloves, and then 1 teaspoon of thyme, and then I'm going to salt and pepper to my taste. I'm going to go ahead and let this cook until most of the water is absorbed. Our kofta is done. I'm going to go ahead and start serving up the plates. This dinner was amazing. This is 10 out of 10. I'll definitely be making this again. And the garlic mushroom skillet is a new favorite. Definitely making that for Thanksgiving. Alright guys, dinner's done. And for this night's dinner, I'm doing creamy garlic Parmesan wings. I started off with taking a whole head of garlic. I cut off the top so that the garlic inside is exposed. Next, I'm going to place it in some foil. I'm going to add some olive oil, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of pepper. And I'm going to go ahead and roast this at 400 degrees for 35 minutes or until soft. And for this recipe, I'm using about 3 pounds of chicken wings and drumsticks. I went ahead and washed and dried those. And I'm just adding these to a big mixing bowl. I just added in a nice pinch of salt and pepper. And then I'm adding in 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And I just went ahead and added my chicken to my baking sheet. I'm going to cook at 380 degrees for 25 minutes. It's been about 35 minutes. My garlic is done. I'm going to let it cool, and then I'm going to squeeze the garlic out of its shell into a bowl. Then I just went ahead and smashed the garlic with a fork until it's as smooth as I can get. For the sauce, on a skillet over low heat, I'm going to go ahead and add in 1/2 stick of butter, and I'm going to go ahead and let that melt down. Next, I'm going to add in our roasted mashed garlic, and I'm going to go ahead and stir that into the butter mixture. 1 cup of Parmesan cheese. I'm adding in 3 tablespoons of sour cream. Then I'm adding in some parsley. It's best to use fresh. I didn't have any on hand, so I'm just using dried. Then I added in 1 tablespoon of butter and 1/2 cup of milk. And for our side tonight, I'm just going to cook up this frozen asparagus. I just went ahead and tossed the chicken inside the garlic Parmesan sauce. My husband did go to the store and get me some parsley, so I went ahead and garnished it with parsley with a side of ranch. And dinner is done. And for tonight's dinner, we are doing Moroccan chicken. My husband's helping me with dinner tonight. We are going to take 2 chicken breasts, and we are going to butterfly each chicken breast into 3s. Into a small mixing bowl, we are going to add 1 tablespoon of paprika, 2 teaspoons of cumin, 1 teaspoon of ginger, 1 tablespoon of coriander, a dash of salt, and then mix to combine. And then we just went ahead and fully coated the chicken breasts. Into a skillet over medium heat, we're going to add 5 tablespoons of olive oil. And then we went ahead and added our chicken breasts. We're going to go ahead and fry both sides, about 2 minutes each side. Don't worry if they're not fully cooked, they'll continue cooking when we put them back in the oven. And then we're going to go ahead and remove the chicken to a plate. Into the same skillet, we're going to add in a little more olive oil. 1 cup of diced onions, and we're just going to saute the onions up until they're translucent. Don't worry about those green pieces in there, that's just some cilantro and parsley from our cutting board. Next we are adding in 4 cloves of minced garlic, and we're just going to let that cook until the garlic becomes fragrant, about 30 seconds or so. And then we are adding in 2 cups of chicken broth, another handful of salt, some black pepper. Once it starts to come to a boil, we are going to add a pinch of saffron. And then to a baking dish, we are going to add our broth. We're going to fill it about halfway up. And I will add this recipe to my description box. Make sure you guys check this out. This recipe was definitely worth making, and I will totally make it again. And then next we're just going to add the chicken into the baking dish. And I'm just going to cover this with foil and bake at 350 degrees for 60 minutes. So this recipe calls for preserved lemon. I will have a link in my description box on how to make it. We are going to take 1/2 of preserved lemon and we are going to remove the pulp from the skin. And then we are going to chop up the skin. And I'm not sure what happened to my video, but 30 minutes into cooking, you are going to add in your preserved lemon skins, any olives, and cilantro, and continue to let it cook for another 30 minutes until done. And I just went ahead and paired this with a side salad. This goes great with rice, even some naan bread. And dinner's done. Hope to see you guys back next week for another What's for Dinner.